The views and opinions expressed in this broadcast do not necessarily reflect or represent the views and opinions of WBGR Network. Any questions or concerns about what is said should be directed to the show host, whose information will be provided upon request.
My brothers keep a show, I gotta let them know. Tuesday, 7 p.m., gotta let them know. 3 M's meant to model, gotta multiply. God gets all the glory, hands in the sky. My brothers keep a show, I gotta let them know. Tuesday, 7 p.m., gotta let them know. 3 M's meant to model, gotta multiply. God gets all the glory, hands in the sky. My brothers keep a show. Introduce the host. My brothers keep a show. Introduce the host. Pastor Dr. Michael Green.
I don't know if they're open yet. It's open now. Be quiet. Oh, yeah.
Views and opinions of WBGR Network.
It's open now. Oh, it's open now. I guess I heard it. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. And we are so sorry that we were experiencing the technical difficulties, but we definitely are happy that you hung around and you hung out with us until we were able to get those problems taken care of. But nonetheless, good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome to the greatest show on this side of greatness. Of course, this is where greater men continue to make men great with a spirit of excellence. And of course, it is a Tony the Tiger terrific Tuesday. And of course, it is great. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, with me tonight, my main man flying high with me is Dr. Bryan Champion. Okay.
Just happy to be in the house. Happy to be in the house, bro.
Definitely.
Hey, and I just want to thank Elder Kevin Agee.
Absolutely.
Who
Absolutely.
has been holding it down the last couple of weeks. I had a chance to check him out and watch the shows. And, man, that brother's something else, man.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Absolutely.
He's just such a ball of knowledge, fire, and whatever. And I just thank him for holding it down. Because my brother's keeper, we appreciate you, Elder Agee.
Yes, sir. All the time. All the time. Let's just take care of this. And because of the technical difficulties, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to continue to roll the show, and we're going to get our hour's worth. But if you can like and share, we may be able to get away, Dr. Champion, with a little bit more than an hour. Let's push the envelope.
All right, let's push it. Let's push it.
I see you have no problem with pushing the envelope.
Man, I ain't got nowhere to go. Look, this is all I got to do. My brother's keeper is all I got. And I hope that's all y'all got too.
Okay. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's do this. Raleigh, Durham, Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Dallas, Fort Worth, San Antonio, Texas, and Maryland, D.C., Washington, D.C., Virginia, definitely in the house. And we're going to go all the way over to the West Coast with Pomona, California, Ontario, California. Thank you so much, Bishop Jelani Kafela, Bishop over Imani Christian Cathedral. Thank you for your support. Also, Bishop James B. Walker of the Christian Methodist Episcopal Church. Thank you so much for your continued support. Definitely, thank you, and thank you. Okay, the call-in number tonight is 301-429 9247 301-429 WBGR. Also, we want you to know that this show will be airing right after the show. It's going to be airing on our YouTube page, My Brother's Keeper. So we're just going to ask you to subscribe and like and share that as equally as well. Also, we're going to continue on tonight with our theme, 2020, seeing yourself, seeing your vision, and seeing beyond your limitations, whatever they may be. Also, you can pick us up on Roku, WBGR app on the Fire Stick, as well as Apple TV. And we're getting it in, and we're doing what we need to do.
And the Amazon Fire Stick.
And the
Let's not forget that.
Absolutely, the Amazon Fire Stick, absolutely. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, or gentlemen or ladies, like for you to encourage your husband, brother, or nephews to tune in Saturday morning prayer call, Ministry to Men. We have a Saturday morning prayer call. That telephone number is 605-562-0020. 605-562-0020, and that code is 911-414-965. And of course, we're going to put that down in the comments so you guys can definitely get a hold of it. Again, Ministry to Men prayer call, 9 a.m. on Saturdays. We're going to put the number 605-562-0020 in the comment section so you can copy and cut and paste it so you can have it for your information equally as well. Also, just want to send a shout out to Miss Beverly Session on an excellent job that she did with the leadership workshop over at St. Matthew Christian Methodist Episcopal Church. Did an outstanding job. Thank you so much, Miss Beverly Session. That topic was many communicate, but few connect. What an outstanding workshop that was. Thank you so much for coming and sharing with us and imparting that leadership workshop information with us. Definitely, we are the better as a result. Amen. All right. Now we're going to get ready for February, Heart Healthy Month. And I'm getting ready to introduce to you, ladies and gentlemen, that guy you love. Dr. Bryan Champion.
They love me. That's right.
Ladies and gentlemen, please like and share. Please like and share that you love Dr. Bryan Champion.
Because I haven't been here for a couple of weeks, and I'm just loving the fact that I'm back in the house.
And they
sitting here with my buddy Mike Green, and I thank Dr. AG for you know what he did to step in and fill the gap. And maybe I don't know, maybe he's doing something. And when I come back, I might be the one filling in the gap for Dr. AG, because that's an awesome brother. You know, friend of mine. Yes. You know, we go back, he go back. See, it's nothing like good, long friendship.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, I could just share with you right now, while we were experiencing technical difficulties, our upcoming guest, and you guys are going to meet him, but we all just had a moment. We had a moment, but it was the infamous New Orleans moment. Oh yeah. And then Dr. Champion said, yes, I met Mike on Bourbon Street in New Orleans. And I said, yeah, when you did, you met me in post BC days, before Christ. And I said, yeah, you you bought me a hurricane in New Orleans. And we were laughing and joking around.
You were underage, so I ain't buy your hurricane.
But that was the joke. That was the ongoing joke, just to, keep things moving right along. Ladies and gentlemen,
you trying to get me out of here. I ain't gonna Secret Service be here trying to lock me up for buying a minor a drink.
No, but we were joking.
We had a good time.
Yes, we did.
That's right.
Fellowship.
Because we had the opportunity to get you away from that life of sin.
Absolutely.
And bring you in.
I saw the light.
That's right. All right. I ain't gonna call no other names, but you know who you was with. But
absolutely.
But we've been boys ever since.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Bryan Champion is going to give us some heart healthy facts for February and healthy heart.
All right. You know what? And I'm going to be real quick because we just want to acknowledge a couple of things as we think about February as our month of heart. We think of our month of love. We think of our month of healthy heart. And we want to continue to express that. And last year, we dealt with, first of all, let me just say this. Give a shout out to Carter G. Woodson.
Okay.
And Carter G. Woodson, who has been that individual who got us to focus on what we remember. You're old enough to remember this. Black History Week that turned into Black History Month. Don't act like you always knew Black History Month. You remember when it was Black History Week, which has turned into African American History Month. Because you know what? The bottom line is, as we have dealt with African American persons of interest and influence every week, at one point, it was dedicated a week. And we realized that just wasn't doing honest and true to our folk. And we turned it into African American History Month.
Yes, sir.
But it was Carter G. Woodson who was that person who created and, lobbied Congress and the president to actually make it that essential program. But we just want to acknowledge him. But today, we're just going to be real quick in acknowledging Daniel Hale Williams.
Yes, sir.
Who was the first African American. Well, actually, I'm sorry. He was the first person to perform heart surgery in the United States.
Okay.
An African American male. And we want to acknowledge him today for what he did in this Healthy Heart Month.
Yes, sir.
And that's just a way of looking at and contributing to how African Americans have not only been important to our history, but the history of the United States. And as we celebrate Healthy Heart Month, we just want to remind men, in particular, because we have our way of ignoring our health concerns.
Yes, sir.
And we just want to remind them that there's certain things that we can continue to do that will help us have healthy hearts. And the first one is to know your numbers.
Yes, sir.
And those are your weight, your cholesterol, and your blood pressure.
Yes, sir.
Knowing them and understanding them and being aware of what they are. We want to also encourage men to not smoke, as smoking cigars has become very popular in the African American community. We also want to recognize that that is not healthy for the heart. We want to continue to exercise.
Yes, sir.
Getting in 20 minutes of cardio every day, how important that is. Eating healthy is another.
Yes, sir.
And I'm bad at that because I love me some fast food. And the reason I love fast food, because that means I don't have to cook. But if we look at what fast food often offers us, we need to look at how we can cook and eat healthy.
Yes, sir.
That's good. Let's do the small things.
Yes, sir.
Let's take that one flight up and those 2 flights down each day, and rather than take the elevator. There's just small things that we can do that can continue to contribute to our healthy heart. And so I just want to say in this Healthy Heart Month to recommend to men, let's be committed to doing those things
cardiovascular
that keep our heart healthy. Let's eat right, let's live right, and live long.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, I'm trying to be around. I'm trying to see some great grandchildren. So absolutely, I'm trying to live. I'm trying to eat right, trying to watch my weight. Actually, I came down a few pounds. I'm trying to work out more, and got to get a handle. I don't have any cholesterol challenges currently, so that's good. And my BP has been excellent.
Yeah,
so
and that's a blessing.
Dropped and it has fallen considerably. Because I tell you one thing, why is because I was doing energy drinks, and I was drinking energy drinks, and this right here may save someone's life. I was doing energy drinks like every day, and the body is not made to be on go all the time. You have to get your necessary rest and to replenish the body, so that once you get up, you're able to re-energize and get refocused and get the heart stirred back up after the rest.
Absolutely. And that's the thing. Well. We take things for granted.
No energy drinks, ladies and gentlemen. The body was designed for rest.
We don't get enough rest.
Yes.
We stay up late at night and we get up early in the morning. So we don't get that proper amount of rest. We don't eat enough home-cooked meals because it's more convenient to do so. And these are little things that we need to really be mindful of because they have a long-term effect on our health.
Exactly.
And again, like I said, as men, we often, take it for granted.
Yeah. And also, one thing that I read a study that said married men last longer, they live longer, they outlive bachelors. That's a study that I did read just FYI.
I ain't going there. we'll let the married couple come in and talk about that.
Because again, I digress. I said I read the report.
No, and I'm sure there's so many reasons that's probably true.
Yes.
But we got a married couple coming here.
Absolutely.
That's going to talk about the blessings and joy of marriage.
Absolutely.
So we not going to steal their thunder. Because you know
Absolutely
what?
not. That's why I digress.
You know what? Me and you.
You and I.
Yeah, that's right. so we gonna yield to the expert.
Absolutely.
We're gonna yield to the expert.
Absolutely. But one thing that I wanted to share is our book of the month is Make Love, Make Money, Make It Last, and 10 Secrets to Shape a Great Marriage by Dr. Willie Jolly. And also he's going to be our guest next week. So definitely that's the book of the month. And we want to purchase the book, or we want to read the book. How are we going to get it? Through your electronic devices. But definitely that's the book of the month. And Make Love, Make Money, Make It Last. 10 Secrets to Shape a Great Marriage.
And let me just say this because, I've had a chance to share with the Jollies. And, Willie Jolly is a wonderful motivational speaker who I have much respect for. But what I also want to say is that his wife, Dee Jolly, who is also going to be on the show next week.
Yes.
And the two of them together
dynamic duo.
Share a ministry. They share a blessing.
Yes, sir.
And so what we want to say is not that Dr. Jolly is going to be here, but Dr. Jolly and D Jolly are going to be here to talk about that subject. And they do some shows on another station that I don't know if I'm able to talk about on this show, but they might mention their other radio stations that they're on and so forth. But all I'm saying is they're gonna be on My Brother's Keeper next week.
Okay, amen.
And so they're gonna be here to bless us.
Amen.
To talk about.
And definitely want to let everyone know to please tune in.
That's
amen.
Right. Amen. And they're an awesome couple, and I really feel blessed that we have them coming on next week.
Amen. And what I want to do right now is just give you just a brief overview of our guest tonight, Tony Gallimore, along with Shalante Gallimore. Let's start with a little bit of Tony's story. He accepted the call to teach. I like that. In urban education, the brother's a good teacher, and he teaches elementary school. He's been doing that for about 4 years. And he also has made a transition to behavior and also leadership. Brother has a master's in behavioral psychology that he achieved in 2013. And I'm going to let him tell a little bit more about how that has also led him to mentoring, a mentoring program equally as well. And his wife, Shalante Gallimore, graduated with a master's in social work, specializing in children and families from University of Maryland. And we're definitely so glad to have them on this evening. But what we're doing is talking about marriage and expectation. So I wanted to give you some stats on marriage and expectations. Basically, half of Americans. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, my producer wants me to go ahead and go to commercial. So right after this commercial, we're going to welcome Tony and Shalante Gallimore. After these breaks. We're paying
veganistic.
It's going to be a veganistic breakfast at Breakfast Mojo, and we're going to give a review at the end of all of this. So let's go ahead and see what we have.
Okay, so what we have here is tofu. And so what you do is you get the tofu in a pack, whichever brand you want to get. It's fine. Get firm tofu and then squeeze the water out in the sink. And once you do squeeze all the water out, because tofu really doesn't have a flavor, it's actually soybean. These little they look like little teeny miniature meatballs. They're sausages. These is Gimme Lean. That is the name of it. So I'm putting them in.
It smells great.
And the reason you don't have to put them in is completely up to you. You know, those of you who
it looks like sausage.
It does look like sausage.
And it looks like egg.
So what we're going to do is we're going to put some peppers and onions in,
Wow,
which
look
I
at
already
that. Already prepared.
already
So
cut
it's
up.
like-
Red onions, yellow, orange, and red pepper. Now for our green.
Look at that. So what is that?
Cilantro.
Cilantro, folks.
Yes.
Look at the cilantro.
It's fresh cilantro.
Look at the pretty color there.
This right here is
Yes.
garlic and herb. So it's not gonna be strong though. Now
Okay.
the minced garlic is strong, but this is not.
Oh, some
Yes.
Italian seasoning.
Yes.
Some rosemary. You know, when it's an Italian medley, it's like a melody. You know what I mean?
This is onion and herb.
Onion and herb.
This is lemon pepper.
Lemon peppers. So
Lemon
that's
pepper.
interesting. That's interesting.
I'm making sure that it is going to have a great flavor. Most of the time when people came down with diabetes or any of those diseases, they were in their 70s and 80s. You know, now people are in their 20s and they're being diagnosed. So, you know, you definitely want to eat healthier. I'm not telling you to be a vegan. You know, you don't have to. I am. I've been vegan for 32 years. Yes, I usually put the top on because the steam in it, you know, it helps it to cook long. Now, it doesn't take long to cook.
That looks amazing with this
Tofu scramble.
tofu scramble.
Some people say tofu eggs.
It tastes like eggs. I can't say it's not. You can't tell me anything different. I'm gonna give it a breakfast brilliant. Because I almost feel like this is not enough. Like I need more.
And it's light. It's light, so you can eat more.
It is light. It is light. It's very flavorful. Breakfast Mojo. I'm Comedian Koi. This is Michelle Mangum. And once again, we'll be back with some more. Don't forget to subscribe with some more Breakfast Mojo. So make sure you tune in, huh?
6 minutes, Dougie. 6 minutes, Dougie Fresh.
Nice line.
Okay, welcome back. Welcome back from the station break. Welcome Tony and Shalante. Thank you guys for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having us.
And don't be bashful, because you guys weren't bashful from 7 o'clock to 7:30. So don't be bashful here on. Okay, welcome. You're at home. It's all good, okay?
Right.
Oh, okay. Let's start this off. As the topic of matrimonial success and divorce is studied more and more, research shows that how a couple weathers their first 2 years together, it can make or break their marriage. It is a sign of trouble if a newlywed couple starts to have disillusionment within the first year. The disillusionment can come from unrealistic expectations. Before I get into the stats, I just want to introduce again you back to the show. Welcome, and you are newlyweds.
Correct.
Yes.
And many people want to know why we would want to do a newlywed show. Okay, good question. You want to answer that question, Dr. Champion?
Because it used to be a great show in ABC back in the day.
Okay, so we want to be able to, we wanted to kind of shift it around a little bit, because normally we have couples of 34 years, 20 years on up, 34, and some even 40. But we wanted to kind of flip the script a little bit and do the newlyweds as they continue to embark on their journey of marriage just beyond their wedding date. And so these two young folk have consented to come on in and share much of their story with us. And I'm God thankful for it. So, Mr. Tony, I'm going to digress and let you go ahead and get the show right now. And how are you, sir?
I'm doing well,
Doing well. You want to tell us a little bit more about yourself? I gave them a brief overview of your accomplishments, academia.
I am an urban educator. Been in urban education in D.C. area going on 10 years now.
Okay.
I've now moved on from teaching to school leadership administration.
Okay.
Just my calling.
All right.
Not something I ever wanted to do, but as I began to be obedient and listen to God, that's where He pushed me to it.
All right. That's all right. Like that. Now, you want to introduce your lovely wife?
This is my lovely wife. My peace, my rock. This is my everything. Shalante Gallimore.
All right. Done.
I let her give you the rest.
Okay.
I am a school social worker as well in D.C., Ward 8. Have been a social worker in D.C. for like 5 or 6 years now. So now I'm in elementary school. I work with preschool all the way to the 5th grade.
Okay, great.
And that's what I do.
Okay. Now, as I said, newlyweds, and I was joking a little bit earlier, and I said, you guys aren't newlyweds, y'all. How long have you been married?
7 months.
7 months?
Yes.
Wow. That's 213 days.
Okay.
Okay, you did the math.
Yeah. So now I'm going to let you guys tell the story.
And
now
we
that
survived.
I did the math.
Really, because there's
here.
certain
Some
couples
people-
that don't last that long.
Exactly.
Talk to me, Kim Kardashian.
Hello.
So
You want to join the show, Miss
Not
Session?
enough room up here.
Okay, not enough room. Okay, go ahead.
So, it's a certain way we tell this story.
Go ahead.
My wife always leads it because she purposely
Tells the truth.
omits certain parts of the story.
Okay.
So I'm going to let her lead, and
Okay.
then I'll finish with the bang.
Oh, okay. All right.
So
Just sit right back in your hair. Okay.
So I like to just talk about how his journey led him to me, and my journey led me to him. So, like he said, he never wanted to do like education and be a leader. That wasn't something that he wanted to do, which is why he has like a behavioral psychology degree. Like he wanted to do that kind of thing, and God led him into education, which eventually led him into leadership, which eventually led him to the school in which we met. And I was not even supposed to be at that school. My coworker, she had resigned from her position, and so that left that space open. And the principal was like, "I want you." And I was like, okay, cool. So I ended up working at the same building that he was inside.
Okay.
Not for the same school, but inside each other. And so that really just sparked it for me from the moment I walked into the building.
Okay.
He was the first person I saw, and I mean, you can't miss him. He had he had on a purple tie, I remember.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And purple's my favorite color.
Mine
And
too.
So I saw, and when I saw him, I was like, wow, he's handsome. So I immediately went to my principal and was like, I need all of the deets. Find out about him. Found out about him. He wasn't available. So I was like, all right, cool, whatever. And I let it go for 9 months.
Okay.
I just flirted under the tones. And one day, I found out that he was available.
Okay.
And I shot my shot. I had baked a cake. And I asked him if he wanted to taste some of the cake I made.
Oh, and it was a history.
And that was it. He put
His eyes married now.
number in.
All right,
Almost 3 years
ladies,
later.
bake a cake if you want a good man.
And it has to be good and moist.
And ask him to taste the cake.
I'm not going there.
The lights are kind of making me sweat over here.
Amen.
Go ahead.
And like you said, it was history ever since. And that
Okay.
was May 4th. So,
Okay.
You said that was May 4th?
And
Yeah.
son,
What year?
2017?
Okay, all right.
Yep.
Okay. 2017. Okay. All right. You're on.
That was the PG-13 version.
So you're going to start with the moist cake?
We're going to start at the moist cake. All of that is very true.
her mom and grandmother are watching.
They've heard this story at the wedding reception. It was very true. She did bake a cake. The cake was not for me, so let's be
Yeah,
true.
you're right.
She did
It
not
wasn't.
bake the cake for me.
It wasn't.
I was in her principal's office having a conversation, and someone came to the door. A beautiful young lady came to the door and said, "Mr. Gallimore." I turned, I looked, and she says, "Would you like to taste my cake?"
Basically, all that I just said.
2 years later, we're married. There it is.
My. All right.
Wanda Briscoe said, bake a cake, lady.
And make it moist.
Oh, yep.
Even if it's for somebody else.
That's right.
It was for him coworkers. It's Teacher Appreciation
It was
Week.
Teacher Appreciation Week.
See, that beats the apple I always gave my teacher.
Okay. So, yep, that's how we met.
Okay, here we go. Just wanted to give some stats here. You guys threw me off. Half of Americans age 18 and older were married in 2017. A share that has remained relatively stable in recent years, but is down 8% percentage points since 1990. Why we are getting married? 88% for love, 81% for making a lifelong commitment, 76% for cake. No, I'm just teasing. 76% for companionship, 49% for having children, 30% for a marriage recognized in a religious ceremony, 28% financial security, 23% for legal rights and benefits. Average at first marriage, the median age at first marriage had reached its highest point on record, 30 years for men and 28 years for women in 2018.
Pretty accurate for us.
Wow. And, yeah, and remarriage is on the rise. Dr. Champion, 60% of marriages are first time for both. 20% of marriages are second for at least one. 20% of marriages are second for both. So even as we get into knowing how you guys have met, what was your background? How you, when you decided to say this would be a good partner, what were some of the do's or desires and wants?
First of all, let's say we come from two totally different backgrounds. I come from a two-parent home. I grew up around marriage. Grandparents married both sets. Parents have been together 40-some years now, married 30-some years. Whereas my wife, the opposite. Dad was not around, single mom. She did see marriage in her grandparents, but marriage was not something that was modeled for her on a regular.
Wow.
So bringing that into this one house, one nest, viewpoints were different. As you will call them, expectations. And when she talks, you'll hear that she had an expectation or a model for what she thought her husband should look like or what she thought she would look like. Whereas for me, growing up around marriage, I learned very quickly I didn't have expectations for a wife. Reason being is I don't want my wife to be my mother. I don't want my wife to be my grandmother. I want my wife to be my wife. So we did an expectation exercise after we got married, in which we wrote down our expectations. She was very happy. Had a whole list of expectations. She's like, here's your turn.
Wow.
I gave it back. It was just one word.
3 words of the same words.
Yes, I wrote the same word 3 times.
Communication.
Communication. I strongly believe growing up seeing so many marriages, while they lasted long times, wouldn't say they were all healthy marriages. But the one thing I do know is that communication can strengthen or weaken any relationship, whether it's marital, friendship. The number one key is communication. So I feel like if we can have strong communication, all the other stuff will fall in place.
Amen.
But you'll hear her, as she will talk, she'll let you know that there were expectations on her behalf.
Amen. So coming from a one-parent household and it was your mom,
Yes.
what were your expectations? You need the pen and pad.
So honestly, I didn't know that I had expectations until really we said I do, and then I realized that I was expecting for him to be a certain way, and I didn't communicate that to him. Like, I was expecting for him to take the trash out. I was expecting for him to take care of what things around the house and cutting the grass and doing all those things. I was expecting for him to do those things. And while he did, do it, he may not did it like all the time. But for me, I'm like, you're my husband. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to take out the trash. I'm not supposed to touch the trash ever.
Because you make the cake.
Yes. But also, what I had to struggle because growing up and seeing a single mom taking care of everything, I could do it. But my mindset is then I could just be single, right? Like if I just did everything, then I would just be single. I got married so I could have help.
Taking out the trash.
Yes, I don't want to take out the trash. It stink. It is nasty. So yes, take out the trash, cut the grass, because growing up, me and my mother cut the grass. We had to get the grass cut. So I don't have no problem doing it. I just didn't want to because I'm married now, so I shouldn't have to, right?
That's one way of looking at it.
But again, having expectations for him that we never really talked about before, to say, I think as my husband, you should always take the trash out, or I think as my husband, you should take care of the bills, or I think as my husband, you should warm my car up in the morning when it's cold outside so I don't have to. Or I think that you should make sure that there's gas in my car at all times. And for me, because I did have a single parent home, but I also had my grandparents, and so I'm some of the things about being a wife I model after being my grandmother, who's an old school wife, right? She cooks, she clean. When she come home from church, she get the cooking. When she come home from a long day of work, she get the cooking and take care of her husband. And when she go out of town, all of the food is nicely prepared and doing all of those things, and that stressed me out. I'm a new age wife, so doing all of that it started to wear on me. And then Tony said to me, he said, "Who told you had to do all that?"
Yeah.
And I said, "Well, that's what you're supposed to do when you're a wife." And so, that's something that we've been talking about, trying to figure out.
And what was it like that day of reckoning when you realized that when he said to you that you didn't have to do all of those things, that day of reckoning, and how was that?
It was a little bit of relief for me, but also a little bit of guilt.
Why the guilt?
Because I felt like I still feel like that's what you're supposed to do as a wife. Like you're supposed to care for your husband, you're supposed to care for the kids and have everything in order, make sure like the clothes are clean, dishes are cleaned, and everything is in order.
That's not new age.
But it's new age in the sense that the wife is the only one that does it.
Oh.
Well, at least for me, how I feel. I feel.
No, I was just saying you have a lot of old
it should be 50-50.
Okay.
That's how I feel.
I got you.
Because I tried to do it all. And it's just a lot. Working.
How does that feel, Brother Tony? How does that feel?
Which part? Her doing it or not?
Not her.
Her doing all the things around the house, or
Amen.
Commercial break, please.
So we'll give you. Who is Crystal Dorn? Hey, colleagues.
Hey.
We have Wanda Briscoe. Communication is so vital. Eric Elliott has 2. He said the first thing he said was, "You are a better cooker than Betty Crocker." And he also says, "Marriage is all about out-serving one another."
Yes. Absolutely.
And then of course your grandmother. Your grandmother, Sylvia Mitchell Lewis.
Hey, Grandma.
Tony and Shalante were made for each through God. They are good for each other.
Amen.
Oh, hey, thanks,
And of
Grandma.
course, a shout out from your mother, Kim Mitchell.
Hey, Kim Mitchell.
On a serious note, so for me, I realized one day coming home from work, and I talked to my wife that she was stressed out, and then she started speaking to me about like, well, I feel like I have to do this, and it was like, sort of I felt her saying like, if I don't do this, then I'm not a good wife, and I felt like it was important for me to give her validation that like, no, that's not my expectation. Quite frankly, I don't have any expectations from you when it comes to that. We both work full-time jobs. We both work with children. And what I do know, sometimes you have to give people the okay to take care of themselves. And I felt like she needed to know that it's okay to come home and say, you know what,
Yeah.
I had a long day dealing
sir.
with 4 and 5-year-olds.
Yes, sir.
Cook your own meal. I respect that because I also deal with children all day, and I understand it.
Wow, this right here, Dr. Champion, I'm serious when I say this. You guys are in a place, and I think it's fair to say that 3 years you were dating before you actually married, correct?
A year and almost 2 years.
Almost 2 years.
He knew
almost
what
2
he
years.
wanted.
He knew. That's it.
Cake, more cake.
More cake.
10 months
You
later.
just keep getting the cake, brother. But
It ain't gonna be this much somewhere else.
As long as she knows that.
I'm just saying.
okay, I'm trying to keep us focused here.
Oh, I am too. I'm just saying.
Listen,
You know,
well, he understands the cake that he has.
right? That's what I'm
Understood.
saying.
Better than Betty Crocker.
Don't underestimate the batter.
You miss being, you miss coming to work, don't you?
No,
You miss.
But I'm saying, see, the thing is, and when we look at it, and you're a behavior scientist, so you understand this. When I say this, is that our expectations are what really create where we feel happy.
Correct.
Yes.
And so sometimes we have misexpectations, and our misexpectations create unhappiness. And so once we can come to a place, and it sounds like when I listen to the two of you, you had realistic expectations and you communicated expectations in a way that allowed you to now understand this is what I want, this is what I need. And because those are communicated, now you're able to respond and act to them. And that's where, when we look at couples, oftentimes we missed because they're not communicating. The expectations, you know, you mentioned something, and I said to someone once, if I knew that's what you wanted, I would have been happy to give it to you. But the fact that I didn't know that's what you wanted, I was giving you all the things that I thought you wanted,
Yes.
but weren't meeting your needs. And if you don't communicate expectations, then we don't have that opportunity to commune in a way that gives us that happiness. And when I listen to the two of you all, that's such a strong point.
You know, I don't know whether or not you guys, all three of you guys were at the workshop on Saturday, because as Ms. Session taught through that workshop, many communicate, but few connect. And so as I'm hearing, and I wanted to give you guys kudos, because in 7 months, I see you doing what I would consider couples at 5-10 years, where they're missing the mark with that basic communication. And when you don't have the communication, it's as Dr. Champion stated, it's like I'm giving you what I think you want, not what you've communicated or I heard what you need. And that is so key in relationships, that we hear and we're able to communicate. And I was listening to someone, I forget who it was, it says, as long as you are in a relationship, don't stop talking. You know, as long as you continue talking, we can fix it. We can fix it. But don't stop talking, because that's when we begin to misinterpret and disconnect. But I wanted to just share with you guys that you guys are on an excellent track. And Ms. Session, I'm thankful that you chose this couple, because you just hear the seasonedness. And you guys are seasoned. Not saying you're not going through and facing any challenges, but continue to communicate, to connect.
Well, I think a lot of that has I know, not I think, has a lot to do with our faith background. Many people ask me, like, how did you know she was the one? And I always tell the story, yes, we're Christians, but she stayed with me one night, and I woke up in the morning, and I woke up, she was standing over me, she was praying over me. And it was at that moment that I knew that was the woman who was going to be my wife. The only expectation that I did have for my wife is that she had to be a God-fearing woman. And that was the expectation that I had for God. Whoever you send me, please let her be the woman who's going to protect me from all the spiritual battles that I'm going to face. I'm understanding, like, being a man and leading is hard enough with the physical day-to-day. And so often they say, you know, behind every strong man is a good woman. I need a woman that's going to pray for me.
Amen.
Because I don't have it all to do it myself. So when I woke up that morning and she was literally over me praying for me, that's what I knew.
Amen. Amen.
Yeah, and I had been praying for him before he was even you know.
Before he had a face.
Yes. I had been praying for him. It was a book I had been reading. It's like 31 prayers for your future husband. And I had been going through and just like reciting the prayers and praying for my husband. At the same time that I was praying for me. Because what I realized, like probably a year or two before he came into the picture, was that I kept praying to God for my husband. What I wanted him to be. My list was a little longer than his.
The expectation list,
yes,
right?
Yeah, and then one day God said, and so what are you going to bring to the table? And so I was like, oh, you're right. So at that moment, I went out, I got a financial advisor. She started working with me and getting my money together. I was on Pinterest, penning meals, and I would just randomly cook meals, baking cakes, you know, trying to just get my repertoire up for cooking. Because for me, as a wife, I got to cook and make sure my husband eat and the kids eat. And so I just been testing out things and going to church, and I joined the dance ministry and really just working on myself and my faith and strengthening myself up so that when he did come, that I was ready. I knew I was going to be perfect, but I was ready to accept him and receive him. And so when he came into the picture, I think we meshed really easy. Like, to me, it was the third day after speaking with him. I called my best friend and I said, I think I just met my husband. Like, because I woke up that morning and I was like, he was the first thing on my mind. And I immediately called my best friend crying, like, I don't want to ruin it.
You know, you just sent a little chill. I don't get chills. Okay? You just sent the chill down my you know.
I did.
Yeah.
From the third day, and from that moment,
Wow.
I was like,
The
he's gonna be my
third
husband.
day.
The third, he got up.
It literally was. I'm like not making that up.
Say that.
I'm not
That's
making that
biblical.
up. We had talked.
I'm just saying.
Tony, don't sit there. You got the cake now, brother. When did you realize?
It wasn't quite that soon.
It was
The fifth day.
No, the 6th day.
I'm very spiritual, and through my life I come to learn that nothing happens by mistake. And we told you briefly about the journey, but something that was very important to her is that we were both equally yoked, right? So while God not only brought us to the same school together, he, by other people, put us in the same church, not knowing that we were in the same church.
Wow.
Nope.
I was actually a member and attending Ebenezer a little over a year or longer before I even met Shalante. And it came out maybe our first or second conversation.
And I did not believe him.
And she was like, no,
I
you
know
don't.
everybody.
Hello? Everybody know me. Or my mother.
But not only were we in the same church, I say, God keeps certain things away from you until he's ready for you to see them. We were in the same building, worshiping the same God, but I never saw her face.
And I never saw him.
For 2 years,
May not have been ready.
I was
I
not
know
ready.
I wasn't.
I was not ready. I was going through some, just being 100% vulnerable, I was going through some transitions in life.
Yes.
God had to do some work on me. I had to do some work on myself. I was at a point in my 20s where I thought my way was the way. And I had to find out, like, no, you're going to do it his way. He'll let you make those choices and make those mistakes. But thank God for manhood and perseverance.
Yes, sir.
Amen.
Yes, sir.
That taught me how to get through some things.
Yes, sir.
Uplift.
And I had some people around me to uplift me, but I also had some people around me who let me sit in the darkness. And for those who don't know, growth happens in the dark. And I had to go through that to prepare myself to be a husband. I tell people I thought fatherhood was hard, but being a husband is probably the hardest thing I've encountered, because coming from a family of marriage, I'm not only letting, if I fail at this, I not only fail myself, I fail my wife, I fail my children. I'm raising a young black boy. And the generation that we are raising now, marriage isn't something that's modeled. Manhood isn't something that's modeled. So the reason I say it's so hard, I have to work equally, doubly harder to be that model for not only my son, for my daughter, for my children to come, so that they have the model of what it means to be a man. So when my daughter picks a husband, no, don't pick a husband that's like me, but I want you to pick a man and not a boy. So marriage is the hardest decision, and which is why it took me 32 and a half years to make a decision to say who I wanted, because I could have been married and I could have been divorced.
Same.
Somebody ought to pass the plate on this one right here.
See, that's why I just love him so
But yeah.
much. He's so smart, intelligent.
He's so smart, important, and
Yes,
Man, we might have to turn down the lights up in this show.
That's his.
just let me
his
get out the way before the
intelligence.
tape come out. Go ahead.
Wanda Briscoe, she covered you. The Power of a Praying Wife.
I read that
Also a
book.
Yes,
Yes.
it is.
Eric Elliott,
Wow.
preparation is a beautiful thing. And then Crystal Dorn, Tony Session, wow, just to your story.
So, when we talk about praying, and that's something that's really important.
Yes.
But the question is, do you know how to spell pray? Because so many of us who go into relationships and misspell pray. We don't spell it P-R-A-Y. We spell it with an E. Because we're not looking. We're praying on folk. We're looking for folk to acknowledge. You know what I'm saying? It ain't. We're acknowledging God in our relationship.
Yes, sir.
We're looking for an advantage, and
Yes,
that's
sir.
when we pray with an E. And so many relationships are failing because we're talking about we're praying, or we're not praying.
Wow.
That's word.
Wow. Wow. This is
A lot of wisdom up there tonight.
yeah. Just being released in the atmosphere.
Hey man, don't get me started. 'Cause I got some notes here. I've been taking some notes.
Yes, you do have some.
Yeah. So because we were talking about that connection earlier, and what Sister Beverly said, that people communicate but don't connect. And the reason is because the reality is they're not communicating. Because communication, we think communication means that we transmit. But communication doesn't take place if there's not a receive.
Yes.
And so the thing is, we transmit all day long. We tell everybody what we want, but we don't even never verify that they hear us.
Case in point, oftentimes, good morning. And you say good morning to someone. Someone just, how are you? And then we don't even wait for the response. So I could just about imagine in relationships now where, it's a good morning, and then the person just really walking past. We're not hitting each other with the place of stopping and actually engaging and putting our hand on the pulse.
It's an auto response.
Yes.
What's up? All's good.
All's good.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, that's just our response.
Yes.
And we're really not actually taking a chance to communicate what we're really feeling. And actually, is the questioner actually concerned with what we're thinking?
It's interesting you say that because while we were dating, we did a book read together called Daring Greatly. And we had already started talking about our future, and at that point we're dating with a purpose. And I was like, well, if we're going to go through this journey, we need to be vulnerable. And he talked about connecting. You can't truly connect unless you allow yourself to be open to receiving. And we had to actually read this book together so that we can become comfortable. Because over the years of our life, we go through experiences that we put up walls. And there are walls that we don't even know are up until someone else exposes them. And my wife said to me after she was my wife, is you show me a version of me that never existed. But it took a level of vulnerability and for her to trust me, for me to be able to be brutally honest with her. And not to a place to hurt her, but she can't grow if I'm not honest with her. So often, as he say, people pray, P-R-E-Y, because they want to be fed. And it's rooted from a place of selfishness and filling your own basket. And At what point can you get to the place where you're selfless?
Yes.
When it's less about you and more about us?
Yes. Absolutely. Wow.
Y'all only been married 7 months, for real?
And dated for 2 years.
When I met him, that I've known him all my life.
The two truly have become one in that space, and it's empowering. Absolutely.
Elder Ernest E. Richard Jr. Growth really does happen in the dark. Transformation happens away from the limelight, and then the growth is seen once we break the surface.
Yes.
Serious insight, Eric Elliott. Boys live by experimentation, men live by revelation. Crystal Dorn, this couple is actively listening when one another speaks.
Absolutely. And it definitely bears the fruit of listening. Definitely. Few connect, but many communicate. Absolutely. I just wanted to say thank you guys for coming and sharing with us, and sharing your heart and sharing your story, and being vulnerable with us. Although we laughed and joked, but you guys came from a very authentic place, and thank you so much. And I pray the best for you.
Thank
and
you
your
for having
marriage.
us.
Thank you for having us.
Dr. Champion.
No, and I agree. You know, it's very refreshing to hear a couple communicate in a way where they have allowed God to guide the way they move. And the reality is that we just, when we look at couples,
I'm not sure I understand.
I understand, but what I do understand is this, and I mean, you know, I've been in relationships, and what I recognize, even when God shares certain things upon us, that we want to step into our own interpretation, and we don't allow ourselves to just humble ourselves to the will of God. And when I hear you speak about your willingness to just let God move, it's just so important that I think other couples hear your story, because, you know, that's not what they're hearing from their boys. That's not what they're hearing from their girls. And what's happening is oftentimes relationships aren't healthy and whole because of the noise that they're hearing back here instead of what's right there in front of them.
Yep.
And so I just think that as I listen to your story, I thank God for your willingness to share, because so many people need to hear that story instead of the story that they're hearing from their folk. You know, and actually, matter of fact, you know, y'all need to get a show, because I'm listening. Y'all need y'all own show, because y'all got some deep stuff here, and don't underestimate the fact that what God has blessed you with is going to be a blessing for others.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And don't get it twisted. We are human. We have our disagreements. We have our ups and downs. But at the end of the day, we have a foundation that when it gets too bad, I take her hand, she takes my hand, and we say, let's pray.
Amen.
And at that point, let God's will be.
Yeah, she know you're a bruh. She know you're cute.
Hey,
And that's one of the reasons I married.
Okay, let me just
Listen, she said that's one of the reasons she married him.
I did. I told God in college
you
that I was
told
going to
God.
marry Omega. I
That's
did.
right. And
Okay, ladies and
I
gentlemen,
used
let
to
me
tell-
just bring this
I
back.
used to
Focus
tell
here.
folk all
And he
the
brought
time,
him to
say,
me.
A
every woman wants
three-strand
an Omega
cord is
man.
not easily broken. What Brother Tony was just talking about,
Amen.
he was sharing about, the God piece in their marriage. And so when you understand a
And
three-strand
peace and
cord that is not easily
happiness.
broken, it is one, he has his part, she has her part, but then there's what God says. And I'm God thankful that you brought that point out. Ladies and gentlemen,
I just want to say thank you. to the both of you for giving us this platform to share our story. As you said, Dr. Champion, we can underestimate the gifts that God and the blessings that God's bestowing us to help others. So hopefully we inspire someone who is going through or preparing to get married. It's a beautiful thing.
It is.
Society doesn't talk about marriage. The devil actually wants to destroy marriage. So hopefully we can be an inspiration, or we were an inspiration to someone tonight.
Or even someone that is contemplating divorce. Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. Dr. Champion?
No, I'm just saying, he just said it, the power of God
Yes.
in a relationship. I mean, that's the thing, that we look at so many other things. How much money does he make or she make? How sexy does she look? But the fact is, what has God called us to do? And that's the thing.
Yeah.
Hey, we need another hour for that one.
Absolutely, absolutely. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, our time is up, and we definitely thank you for yours, and thank you so much for tuning in. And remember, when good men stand together, we become greater. We are our brothers and sister keepers. See you on the other side of greatness. God bless you. And remember, go to our YouTube channel, My Brother's Keeper, subscribe and like. God bless you. See you next week for Willie Jolly and D Jolly.
It's going to be a jolly time. Jolly, jolly, jolly. Get your ab.
My Brother's Keeper show, I gotta let them know. Tuesday, 7 p.m., gotta let them know. 3 M's, mental model, gotta multiply. God gets all the glory, hands in the sky. My Brother's Keeper show.